Hi, tarot friends. Welcome back to part 2 of some tarot philosophy. The video got cut off, so I was saying that as newbies, we tend to want to start with a Rider-Waite-Smith deck or a Rider-Waite-Smith base deck with the more quote-unquote scenic minors versus the more abstract designs that we see on the pip cards. So that kind of pushes us away from Marseille, and we get so much advice to avoid the Marseille. That really supports that feeling that we have going in that Marseille is going to be too hard. But as I was saying, the thought process tends to be we'll learn the meanings, quote unquote meanings of the cards. And then once we have them memorized, we'll be able to apply them to the cards that have less of a depiction. But the problem with this way of thinking is that's not how you read Marseille decks. You don't read Marseille decks by just taking the Rider-Waite-Smith interpretations and overlaying them on top of the Marseille deck. So with Marseille, it's more it tends to be more intuitive. Some people use more numerology. Some people just do it purely from an intuitive standpoint. But there's lots and lots of books specific to the Marseille deck. So the problem is that learning the Rider-Waite-Smith first, even though that is what I did, it tends to put you in a box. People who learn on the Rider-Waite-Smith tend to feel very strongly that Rider-Waite-Smith is the tarot and everything else is a what do I want to say, a variation of that. And, clearly the Tarot de Marseille is not a variation of Rider-Waite-Smith. It's much more likely to say the other way around. But I don't know, the way that I did learn using Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but I learned right off the bat, well, my very first deck was actually not Rider-Waite-Smith at all. It was an Egyptian. Totally kind of, the minors had no suits. It was very, very different. But then when I started to seriously try to learn traditional tarot, I did use Rider-Waite-Smith, but I used 3 or 4 different decks to kind of, I wanted to get the underlying threads of understanding, and so that kind of drew me to the numerology and to the understanding the suits more. And most of the learning material I had available didn't focus a whole lot on the suits or the numerology. It was just kind of touched on, and I kind of had to dig at it. And this was kind of pre-internet at your fingertips. So, like, the internet existed, I do think, but it wasn't in our pockets. So I feel somehow that the way that I learned didn't lock me quite in so much to Rider-Waite-Smith as I see with a lot of readers. Just the way that they revere Rider-Waite-Smith, which is fine, but the way that they think of it as equivalent to tarot, and their minds sort of can't really conceive of something outside of that being legitimate tarot. So when I said quote unquote card meanings, yeah, like I said, memorizing card meanings and just applying them to Marseille is not how to read Marseille. It's really not, in my opinion, the right way to read Rider-Waite-Smith either, but it seems to be a very common idea that that's how you learn to read tarot, that you memorize readings. And it's a huge thing for me. I'm sure I said it in the other video, but cards don't have, in my opinion, cards don't have meanings. Cards have multiple possible interpretations, which doesn't quite mean any card can mean whatever you want it to mean or anything. Cards don't mean what you want them to mean. Like, that's not correct either. When you're dealing with esoteric and subtle energies, the we got a little cough in the background. The subtleties or whatever become important, okay? But in any event, I kind of lost what I was saying. They don't have meanings. They have several possible interpretations. And by studying how the cards communicate, how they use numbers, how they use symbolism, how they use imagery, etc., you can learn to interpret them. And that is the job of the reader, is to interpret the cards, not to recite a memorized meaning of a card. So, there's people who are going to disagree with me on that, of course. And I think even maybe the majority of people will disagree with me on that. But honestly, I don't think the majority of tarot readers overall are, the majority is not what rises to the top. Sorry to say. It's just kind of how it is. So, my last video cut off. I was kind of in the middle of a sentence. I really didn't do much more. I feel like I maybe didn't say much more in this other than kind of the same thing, but maybe in some different ways. So I hope that it was helpful. And I do want to give the video sort of a proper send-off, so at least I can do that. I can't wait to really dig. I mean, look at the beauty of these cards. So be sure to comment down below. Comments are honestly my favorite thing, since I did join YouTube to be part of the Tarot Tube community, first and foremost. And to, put my voice out there and to connect and communicate with others. So comment, give me a comment. Definitely like this to let YouTube know that this is the kind of content that you want to watch. And subscribe if you haven't already. And, if there's anywhere you want to share this, that's fine. Until next time, tarot friends, be well, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.